The haunting legacy of Nosferatu, or Count Orlok, is one of the most captivating tales in the history of cinema and horror. This iconic character has lurked in the shadows of pop culture for over a century, influencing how we envision vampires in film and literature.
Nosferatu.
So how did Nosferatu come to life? And why has he remained such a powerful figure in horror? Welcome back to your nerdy show. I'm your host, Spoiler Master. Let's dive into the origins, inspirations, and enduring legacy of this sinister character. And trust me, it's a story worth sinking your teeth into. The birth of Nosferatu, a cinematic creation. Let's start at the beginning. Nosferatu first crept into the world in 1922 in the silent film Nosferatu, A Symphony of Horror, directed by F.W. Murnau. Even now, over a century later, this film is considered a masterpiece of early horror cinema. But here's the kicker, it wasn't exactly an original creation. Nosferatu was actually an unauthorized adaptation of Bram Stoker's novel Dracula. The filmmakers didn't secure the rights to Stoker's work, so they had to get creative. They changed the character names. Count Dracula became Count Orlok and moved the setting from Victorian England to the fictional German town of Weisborg. Despite these changes, the core story remained. A naive young man journeys to a vampire's castle, and chaos ensues as the vampire moves to a new home, bringing death and destruction with him. Now, this legal workaround didn't exactly work out for the filmmakers, but we'll get to that drama in a bit. For now, let's just appreciate that this creative reimagining gave birth to one of horror's most unforgettable monsters. From Stoker to Orlok, a literary legacy. To truly understand Nosferatu, we need to take a step back and look at his literary ancestor, Count Dracula. Bram Stoker's 1897 novel Dracula is a cornerstone of Gothic horror. It's packed with suspense, romance, and a hefty dose of Victorian anxieties. And Dracula himself, he's the ultimate vampire, aristocratic, seductive, and utterly terrifying. Stoker drew inspiration from a variety of sources, including European folklore and the real-life figure Vlad the Impaler, a 15th century Wallachian prince infamous for his brutality. In folklore, vampires were often seen as bloated, grotesque creatures that fed on the living and spread disease. Stoker blended these myths with the refined, almost hypnotic menace of his titular character. But when the creators of Nosferatu adapted Dracula, they took a different approach. They stripped away Dracula's seductive charm, leaving behind something far more monstrous. Count Orlok isn't just a vampire, he's a walking nightmare. A creature that's more rat than man, with none of Dracula's aristocratic allure. Count Orlok, the face of fear. Speaking of nightmares, let's talk about Count Orlok's look. If you've seen Nosferatu, or even just a still image, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That bald head, those elongated fingers, the rat-like teeth, it's the stuff of pure terror. This design was no accident. The filmmakers drew from European vampire folklore, which often depicted vampires as deformed or bloated, not the romantic figures we see in modern media. Orlok's skeletal frame, claw-like hands, and almost alien features emphasize his inhuman nature. He's not just a predator, he's a plague, a shadowy embodiment of death. German Expressionism also played a huge role in shaping Orlok's unsettling appearance. This art movement, known for its exaggerated, nightmarish aesthetics, influenced everything from the film's set design to its use of light and shadow. The sharp contrasts, eerie silhouettes, and distorted angles all work together to create a world that feels just a little off, perfect for a story about an ancient, otherworldly creature. The legal drama. Nosferatu's battle for survival. All right, let's get back to the drama. After Nosferatu was released, Florence Stoker, Bram Stoker's widow, wasn't too thrilled. She sued the filmmakers for copyright infringement, and guess what? She won. The court ordered all copies of the film to be destroyed, but Nosferatu didn't go down that easily. A few prints of the film managed to survive, and over time, they were rediscovered and preserved. This twist of fate ensured that Nosferatu didn't just fade into obscurity, it rose from the ashes. much like its undead protagonist. Today, the film is celebrated as a classic, and Florence's legal battle has become a fascinating footnote in its history.
Midnight stroke, as then it feasts on the victim's blood.
The folklore. Behind the fear now, let's dig into the folklore. The word Nosferatu itself is a bit of a mystery. Some say it comes from the Old Slavonic word Nosferatu, meaning plague carrier. Others think it might be a mistranslation or misinterpretation of Romanian terms related to the undead. Whatever its origin, the term has become synonymous with vampires, thanks in large part to this film. In European folklore, vampires were often linked to disease and decay. They were seen as bringers of plague, which ties in perfectly with Count Orlok's character. In Nosferatu, Orlok's arrival in Wisborg is marked by a wave of death and illness. He's not just a bloodsucker, he's a harbinger of doom, a walking symbol of the fear and devastation that comes with unchecked contagion. Themes that resonate. What makes Nosferatu so compelling even after all these years is its exploration of themes that still resonate today. Fear of the unknown, fear of disease, fear of outsiders. These anxieties are woven into the fabric of the film. Count Orlok's grotesque appearance and predatory nature make him the ultimate outsider. He's a force of chaos, disrupting the fragile balance of society. The idea of vampirism as a corruption of the natural order underscores humanity's vulnerability to forces beyond its control, and the film's depiction of a plague sweeping through Wisborg. Let's just say it hits a little close to home in the age of global pandemics.
Does evil come from within us or from beyond?
Nosferatu's influence on horror. It's impossible to overstate Nosferatu's impact on the horror genre. The film pioneered techniques that are now staples of horror cinema, from its use of light and shadow to create suspense, to its portrayal of the vampire as a terrifying and otherworldly being. Many of the tropes we associate with vampires today, like their vulnerability to sunlight and their connection to disease, were either popularized or solidified by Nosferatu. And let's not forget that unforgettable moment when Count Orlok rises stiffly from his coffin. It's a scene that has been mimicked and parodied countless times, cementing its place in pop culture history.
You know who you are! I will find you and kill you before you let
Count Orlok in pop culture. Speaking of pop culture, Count Orlok has left his mark far beyond the realm of cinema. He's appeared in everything from SpongeBob SquarePants to What We Do in the Shadows. His haunting visage has become a symbol of classic horror, instantly recognizable even to those who haven't seen the original film. This enduring popularity speaks to the universal appeal of the vampire myth. Whether he's portrayed as a monster, a metaphor, or a misunderstood figure, Nosferatu continues to captivate audiences. He's a reminder that horror, at its best, isn't just about scares. It's about tapping into our deepest fears and anxieties.
The truth has never been spoken.
The enduring legacy of Nosferatu. So why does Nosferatu still matter? Why, after more than a century, do we keep coming back to Count Orlok and his tale of terror? It's because Nosferatu isn't just a film. It's a piece of cultural history. It's a snapshot of a time when cinema was still finding its voice and horror was emerging as a powerful genre. Count Orlok himself is a timeless figure. He represents the fears and uncertainties that haunt us all, from the threat of disease to the anxiety of the unknown. And through his story, we're reminded of the power of storytelling to confront those fears and make sense of them. In the end, Nosferatu's legacy is about more than just scares. It's about resilience. How a film that was almost lost to history managed to survive, thrive, and leave an indelible mark on the world of horror. And it's about connection, how a story crafted over a century ago still speaks to us today.
He's coming.
Who is coming to you, my child?
Our nerdy thoughts. So whether you're a die-hard horror fan or just someone who loves a good story, Nosferatu has something to offer. It's a chilling reminder of the power of cinema, the enduring appeal of the vampire myth, and the ways in which art can transcend time, culture, and even legal battles. And that, my friends, is the story of Nosferatu, one of horror's greatest icons. What do you think? Does Count Orlok still give you chills, or is he a relic of the past? Let's hear your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed this journey through cinematic history, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into the world of horror. Until next time, stay curious and maybe keep the lights on.
Now what the heck, I'll laugh anyway.